right now to work in city bodies, which is the boards, commission, and advisories, you need to be currently a U.S. citizen and be registered to vote. And so basically right now, this prop is introduced, wants to take away that requirement. However, what would remain is you would still need to be, in order to serve in the city body, you need to be old enough to vote and an SF resident. So really all it does is just take away this requirement to be a U.S. citizen and be registered to vote. Actually, I don't know about the registered to vote part, but I'm for sure the U.S. citizen part. This has no fiscal impact. And if you vote yes, it means that non-citizens can serve on these city bodies, which specifically only account for the boards, commission, and advisories. And then voting no would mean that things will remain the same. Members of the board, commission, and advisories need to be U.S. citizens and registered to vote. Andy, do you want to start with the arguments in favor?
Yep. The people who are eligible to serve on policy bodies should reflect the people that live in the city. I mean, our city is pretty diverse. I'm pretty sure that there's a decent amount of people that aren't U.S. citizens and aren't eligible because of that. And just because they're not U.S. citizens, because, I don't know, they haven't had the opportunity to become U.S. citizens or something in their past that prevents them from doing so, doesn't mean that all of their experience and knowledge is a waste.
So California already has an existing law that allows all residents, regardless of immigration status, to serve in California's local and state board commissions. So allowing this to pass for SF would just align SF laws to California's laws. And I think we looked at, and it was introduced in the California Inclusion Act. And I think that's all the arguments we have in favor. So I'm gonna give it to Jackie so he can go for the arguments against.
Oh. Oh shit. I'm kidding. But yeah, so there's basically not that much argument against it. The only paid argument by the Republican Party in San Francisco was that this prop would not only include legal residents, but also includes illegal residents. I looked up a list of commissions and boards and whatnot, and that includes like a lot of like stuff. Like to just say random commission or board or committees, some of them would be Citizens Committee on Community Development, Equal Pay Advisory Board, Family Violence, Parks and Rec Committee. So there's a lot of committee, and saying yes to this prop would allow, I'm playing the devil's advocate here, would allow illegal immigrants to join those committee and take away the power that we have, basically kind of invading our city. Do you guys want that? Yeah, I think that's it. And they don't pay taxes. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, that's really all we have.
Anybody have any questions? One question is, does this include like the Board of Supervisors in the city?
Look.
Was that no, or?
Board and commission whose member files statement.
It's like literally everything that we vote for pretty much, or?
Treasury. I don't see Board of Supervisor part of the.
They don't explicitly, like, I'm just reading from the book. They don't explicitly state like Board of Supervisors, but they include, like, they're talking about policy bodies. And if Board of Supervisors is considered part of the policy bodies, then the answer to that question is yes.
Okay. It's interesting. And it doesn't say like mayor either, huh? No, it doesn't.
Like it only includes policy bodies, which include those three things that I mentioned, right? It was boards, commissions, and what is it? Advisories.
Okay. Cool.
Question?
Actually, I looked it up on this website. Oh shoot, how do I go to chat? Oh, there's chat, and it does listed board of supervisor as one of the committees, or
Okay. 'Cause yeah, it's definitely a policy making body, and it's definitely a board. So that that's a big deal. Those are the people that write the laws.
if you go down like A board a little bit more down, and it should be right on the B, board of supervisor.
Okay. Cool. What do people think about this? Anything spicy?
I was wondering if.
Wait, Jackie,
Sorry, go on.
before we continue, I just want to clarify, Jackie, that the slide wasn't your opinion, right? It was something that you read online. We're not being racially insensitive, right?
No, I'm just messing around. Because there's literally no argument against it. Like, yeah, basically all. If you look at a paid argument in favor, the LGBT community, the Latino community, the inclusion of women, I don't know, and working and labor families, they all say yes. And the only group that paid to say no was the Republican Party. And the whole board of supervisors, like, they all said yes too. So, and yeah, I thought like this is kind of like the only thing that like on the book or online that I can find to say that, oh no, we shouldn't include them because illegal immigrants.
I'm kind of surprised there's no significant like implementation cost, because as far as I recall, I work for the Department of Elections. Like, we definitely keep tabs if you're a citizen or not. Oh no, never mind. So look, in the city, you can already vote on certain things if you're not a citizen. So I guess that's already there. Never mind. Any devil's advocates? Yes.
No, I mean, I'm not like a devil's advocate, or I haven't thought about being a devil's advocate, although I think we should maybe have some perspective from that side of things. I was just wondering about like the common argument is like, oh, illegal immigrants, like they don't pay any taxes, but I'm pretty sure they do pay taxes, right? Like sales taxes. And if they work and are receiving pay, like the employer withholds pay from their paycheck to pay for.
Yeah, I think they pay into Social Security, even though they're not eligible to get it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like they're buying into something that they're not even going to benefit from necessarily. And yeah, I don't know. I know it's just same old, but like, they're people too. Like,
yeah. I mean, anybody want to speak on why they are voting in favor?
I think it gives a voice to I think it's kind of similar to the one that we were talking about. Should 18-year-olds be allowed to like vote? It gives a voice to those that like has a voice and works and have like rights and shit. Because my mom is my mom was like so-called not really illegal, but like she eventually became a permanent resident, and like this is something that will affect her. But then again, she was never really into politics.
Yeah, I mean, to add to that, it's like, I think the big argument against, one of the facets of that argument against was like, we shouldn't be encouraging illegal immigration, or we shouldn't be encouraging laziness, right? That seems to be sort of the nub of every single conservative argument. Do not encourage laziness. And the laziness here is like, if you have an illegal immigrant and they should be encouraged, they should be like, we should be doing everything we can to force them to become citizens, right? And by allowing them to be on these boards and still be an illegal immigrant, then it's like you're encouraging them to be lazy and not go out of their way to become a US citizen, right? I feel like that's kind of the argument here. But then my my counter argument to that argument is like, it's really hard to become a citizen if you don't already have a family member who's a citizen, if you weren't already born here, if you don't have a leg up on the immigration lottery. It's very hard to do it from the outside, especially from a country where, like, you know, a lot of people would kill to get in and all that. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
I was just wondering, if you get this job, will you be on a pathway to citizenship? And, you know, by doing this job, don't you in turn then pay taxes? So isn't like, how's there an against to this?
You mean like the specific job?
Yeah, like if they get into a board or a committee, then do they get a pathway to citizenship, or at least permanent resident status? Or like, and then, you know, while they're doing this job, aren't they in turn paying taxes?
That sounds too logical for our current immigration system. There's not really a pathway to citizenship. You know, it's kind of just like, come over here because wherever you live is so bad that you'll do anything. And yeah, I don't think that there's no pathway to citizenship baked into this law, I don't think.
Yeah,
As far
no,
as I know.
yeah, citizenship is determined by the federal government. It might look good on your, you know, when you get in front of a naturalization lawyer or judge, and they might, you know, they might say, yes, give this guy citizenship. But no, if you get the job, you'll definitely be paying taxes. I don't think it helps you get citizenship. I think like most of us, if we have immigrant families, we know that if you go through the legal process, it'll take more than a decade to process it. So maybe we can consider a lot of not just Asian Americans, but the conservative point of view is that, I don't know, citizenship is important, right? It means something, and should just go through the legal process like most people or a lot of people are doing and have done, something like that. I can imagine a lot of the older Asian American community and even conservative Hispanic community has that point of view and might be against this just on that basis. But, you know.
I mean, play devil's advocate a little. Don't we accept most immigrants from, compared to most other nations, just in general as a whole? We have like a higher acceptance rate of people that want to immigrate if they do go through the process, either naturalization or through like military or just straight taking the test and waiting the like 10-year span they need to with permanent residence or getting a visa and stuff like that. Aren't we very, I don't want to say lax, but comparatively to other nations, we're lax? If someone knows more information about that.
I don't know if anyone has a specific answer to that question, but I would pivot that question to, do you think we should be more lenient or less lenient just within ourselves?
I think it's fine right now, honestly. The process is wait for permanent residence, get a green card, wait, or is it 10 years or something, take a test, and you have to wait in line to take tests, right? I mean, I know it takes a while to even queue up and do it, but I think it's very reasonable. They don't even, in SF, you don't even need to know English really, right? You just need to know who to talk to get the test in your language. Because I know a few families, or I think I know a few people that don't really speak English, or families that don't speak English, and they got their citizenship through, you know, taking a test in their native language.
Oh yeah, my auntie and uncle, just pay a lawyer, they'll walk you through it.
See?
Yeah.
I mean, not see, but I think that's where I'm gonna say that. I think it's already lenient enough.
Responses?
I think I saw something on Netflix. I think it was a documentary, and they were talking about how Hispanics to like become a citizen. It's not just like 1 or 2 year process. It's like 5, 6, 7, 8 years process. I don't really quite remember where I seen it, but something to think about. For me, I was a citizen because I was born in U.S. soil. I wasn't born actually in United States itself. It was like yeah. And my mom brought me back over here in San Francisco when we were 10, and then since then we've been living here. I don't know. Also, what Amy said is true on the chat.
Mm.
I mean, isn't it overcomplicated because they want to vet people so they specifically know who wants to come into the nation or the country and become a citizen? I mean, if we didn't have that, and we accepted everybody. If like they said, I want to be one, here's $725, give me my citizenship. Isn't that a little too easy? I'm not saying like that's going to be the simplest way, but to make an argument.
Yeah, there's definitely a sliding scale, right? How much you think is too easy or too hard. I think is a little too hard. 10 years, probably $10,000 at least. I think if you want to hire a lawyer or something, pay some fees. I think that's too much. That's just, personally, right? You think if you think a large significant percentage of people trying to get in are terrorists or will cause this country harm, then you will want, very much difficult process. But it's my opinion that, the vast majority of people that want to come, they just want to provide for that's why our ancestors came, right? Nothing crazy about it. I mean, 10 years, can you imagine? That's it's quite a long time. So anyone else? Not much controversy here.
It was like kind of an anticlimax.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me add some controversy.
Well, let's get it.
Yeah. Aliens. Are they real? I don't think so, but maybe they are. The
All
Earth,
right. Well,
it's flat. No, the Earth is hollow. Did you guys know the Earth it's like a basketball? Isn't it? Like, think about it. Just a little bit of thought goes a long way.
Hey, look, it's the
Like
mute.
a little bit of air expands.
What does this do? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, citizenship is widely used in the United States as a baseline for loyalty. And then like this, I think serving on a board isn't like a normal American thing. Like you can for sure bring your family over here. You can provide for them. You can enjoy everything. But then to kind of hold that kind of public influence, I think that there should be some sort of baseline to make sure that they will actually make decisions that are good for the country and their community.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thanks for bringing us back to the specific question. So these boards hold, more power than your regular citizen. Do people think that the community or Carmen asked generally, the board of supervisors approves, they vote on most of these nominations to these boards. Maybe if you don't trust the supervisor's judgments on, just rubber stamping and approving everyone that's getting put up, that's the only kind of filter that gets people on these boards. Then you might be like, yeah, I don't know, they're already here. They're already here working, hanging out, enjoying America. They don't have to be on these powerful boards. Does that sway anybody?
I'd like to add a counter argument. The fact that even if maybe someone who has ill intentions somehow get on the board, there's like maybe 5 or 6 other people on that advisory board. So I'm trusting, those other people to call that person out or just to like raise a red flag that, oh, this person might have ill intentions, and then kick them off the board.
If one can get on, what's stopping more from getting on?
And do they already vet people like that, even if on the current board, where if someone does something wrong, they say the other like 5 say they should stop or they call them out? Like, do they do that already?
I mean, that's all politics. A lot of the battles, so to speak, is like where the mayor wants somebody to be on this board or whatever, and then the supervisor like, no, that's not our pick, so we're not going to go with that person, and then they like fight or whatever. Does anybody, how about the idea that it cheapens the idea of citizenship? You know, does it mean, does American citizenship mean something super special? You know, we're a nice community that cares about freedom and stuff. And, you know, if you don't have the same type of experience, if you're not a citizen, you know, you're going to make us look like another country that we think is worse off. What do people think about that argument? Is that valid? Is it effective? No. Don't all speak at once, you know.
I mean, do you think it's special then? Citizenship, American citizenship?
Yeah, my
Do that?
opinion really is, you know, I think we're too strict, so I think we should be more accepting. I think the country is better off because of, you know, the different cultures and the different values that immigrants bring. And I think that it's economic truth that immigrants increase the productivity and value economic output of all countries that come in. Another thing you got to consider is that our country is getting overall younger. We need to somehow encourage the workforce to grow or, you know, face significant problems in just a few years, like Japan is right now, when they have a lot more elderly than young people. Who's paying taxes? Who's working here? You know what I mean? So that's something to consider. And in my, you know, ideal world, 500 years later, right, borders should be less strict, in my opinion, right? I think, you know, I think if we see the inherent value of human beings, you would kind of care less about maybe artificial or cultural barriers between people. So it's my 2 cents. Anybody? Yes, Jackie?
So I think allowing non-citizens to be on committees and boards would obviously give a voice and give more power to people who are more in favor of immigration and whatnot. And this kind of reminds me of like a story that my boss told me. He used to be a contractor before he started working here, and he told me that like back then in like the 60s and stuff, painters, like not just like painting apartments, but like actual the whole building, interior, exterior, they were making like $25 an hour. That's like from the 60s, right? And but because of like the flood of like immigrants, those jobs become like less and less like you get paid less and less, because why would I hire you, a professional person who is painting the exterior of my condo, when I can hire a couple of Hispanics to paint it for like, you know, 1/10 of the cost and whatnot. So right now the painting industry like completely dropped, and it's basically like non-existent kind of thing. Or like you basically get paid like minimum wage for painting an apartment and stuff like that. And you know, there's so if we say yes, that means we'll give more power. I'm just playing the devil advocate. We'll give more power to people who are in favors of to those like immigrants. And would it like hurt our economy? I don't know.
Wouldn't the painters want to get paid more? Like, yeah. So patrons probably don't get, you know, they get like, let's say the undocumented want to get probably that original rate too, but they can't because, you know, there's only so many jobs you can do when you don't have documentation.
So opinions on, you know, we're talking on a general, more general topic now about the economic effects of having more immigrants or undocumented in our communities. Does anyone have an opinion on that? You know, one of the, I guess the argument is one of the reasons we restrict so much movement is because, you know, they either take jobs or depress wages in our country, and that's no bueno. Does anyone feel that way? No, everyone thinks Crystal.
Is it because I muted my mic? Is that why?
No, that's not why.
Oh, what I was going to say is, I mean, they're in here and they're already in the country. I'm like, just tax them. At least we can make some money off of them, you know? But they're also doing jobs that nobody else wants to do, and they're getting paid to do those jobs nobody wants to get paid, right? They're making minimum wage, maybe, or maybe even less. I don't know. But the reason why they're doing these jobs is because no one else that's born here is going to do them, right? And so, I mean, I don't know. I think they deserve benefits and they deserve something for the shit that they're doing and like what they're going through.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone out like if you drive to freaking like down to Santa Cruz or whatever, or actually anywhere in the state, the only people picking the vegetables and the fruits are mostly illegals. They need someone to advocate for them because, obviously they're under the sun for a long time. They're out of sight, out of mind for us living here in the city. But if who's going to advocate for them? Certain enlightened people are. But wouldn't it be even better if one of them was able to advocate and, be on a California Board of Agriculture or what have you? Because, unless you think they're inherently worth less than regular people who are represented in the government, then you would agree that, hey, these people are doing backbreaking work. They're feeding actually the whole country. And if they just so happen to not be a citizen, that doesn't mean they're out of sight, out of mind. Yeah.
All right. I just want to piggyback off of what you said. One, don't you want to be an enlightened person to speak up on their behalf? Two, do you think that they're any less of a human being? No, right? So clearly,
yeah.
But they're not going to be able to stand up for themselves and like voice their opinions, right? Because if they are illegal, right? Wait, like how can they do that? Yeah. That's it.
Cool. Final comments?
I have a question then.
Yep.
Would those kinds of people be running for board though?
They should.
They should? Like you would want a farmer that doesn't speak English or barely speaks English?
Yeah.
I'm just like devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Those kind of people, James.
Language is like, you don't get to choose what language you speak when you're born, right? You're no less of a human being because you don't speak English.
I mean, yes, we don't get to choose what language we speak because of our surroundings, and that's how you learn it. Mm-hmm. But if we're gonna have someone have such a powerful role in the city or society we live in, would we want it that we need it'd be hard to convey the actual thoughts of the language you don't speak to people who won't understand you without a translator. That's a problem that interpreters would have because there's always things that slip through the cracks because we don't have those words in our own language. That's sort of getting off trail. But my thing is, wouldn't it be people that have family members that aren't legal, that, how should I word this? People that have citizenship, but family members that that don't have citizenship, wouldn't they be the ones running for it? So isn't that sort of redundant to have people that don't have citizenship run for board when it's hard for them to probably run for it anyways, instead of having people that have been here or were born here, were educated here, or were educated here foremost, and can speak on behalf of them because they have the knowledge to do it and what they learned as they grew up. I'm going to vote no on this probably, but I'm just asking that question to everyone.
Thanks for that point of view, William.
Well, I'm just wondering, are you advocating for some sort of language requirement? Because that does tend to be sort of a tangential issue to a lot of immigration stuff. There's a lot of like, oh, if you want to enter this bathroom, you have to speak English, or stuff like that. Are you advocating for a language requirement
for a powerful position? Yes, I would advocate for proficiency in a language at least. I wouldn't want them to only know like 500 words and say they can run for a board. I think that's crazy. Because if it were like that, people who know a second language in school from high school, they could run for anything across other nations.
Okay.
Everything.
My counterpoint would be, if somebody only knows 500 words, then wouldn't they pretty easily be beat out by somebody who is well versed in the language? And so the language requirement becomes kind of redundant.
I mean, no, because
how would you run a campaign if you just can't communicate with your constituents? Like this scenario is very unlikely.
Well,
why
okay,
would
maybe
you
this
pass the bill?
But then, I mean, would there be another situation that you're kind of envisioning, maybe where somebody gets appointed to a board who doesn't speak the language, and therefore it's like this weird sort of questions are raised of quid pro quo, and you would just want a language requirement in there just in case?
I mean, for me, I was bringing it up because Stephen was bringing up the people that pick the fruits and stuff or whatever in Santa Cruz up in the farms. And if they are illegal and, you know, we're advocating for this prop to pass and they can run for boards, isn't that sort of hard for them to do in general? I mean, why do we need this if we have someone that would do it on their behalf, that's educated and is already wanting to do it, and they're probably a citizen already to run for the board? There wouldn't be a language requirement for that because they would, you know English if they were educated here, probably.
Well, I feel like that argument sort of makes an unstated assumption that everyone who runs for a position
knows English?
Doesn't know English. Like everyone who's illegal and runs for a position, like, oh, they can't possibly know English because they're an illegal immigrant. I feel like that's kind of the implication, but maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to imply like they're dumb, like they don't know what they're doing, but I just want to. Well, I think that it'd be hard for someone that, you know, is legal, that just I would think just came over for a few years and they've been, you know, hard pressed to look for a job to find a means of making wage. It'd be hard to balance everything out to learn a new language and find someone that would be able to teach you.
Jackie, what did you want to say?
Okay, this counterpoint. Realistically, would there be a board of supervisor who is a legal immigrant and also doesn't speak English? Would like you guys be okay with it? Like, you know, but I think this prop is more like more constant or more focused to other commissions and government body or board or whatnot. Like I said before, or that there's a lot of commissions, and I think some the commission like Immigrants' Right Commission or like residential rents commission and like those kind of commission where the people that didn't have a voice can get a voice because they can be appointed to like those commissions compared to like, you know, big stuff like board of supervisor or like, you know, other like affordable housing loan. You know, those are some of the commissions where large amount of people who have affordable housing, they don't speak English, and you know, that's my 2 cents. Like I think this prop was meant to focus more on the smaller, like other different commission and boards than like, you know, people who make the rules like board of supervisor in San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, there might be a day if somebody runs without speaking English. I don't know, my opinion is that, you know, I'd be down for them to run. I don't think the population is ready to like, you know, vote for them unless we have this universal translator technology, because that would obviously slow things down. But the city does employ a good number of interpreters and translators. And so I would provide the reasoning why, you know, governments engage in multilingualism anyways. A good example is California saw a huge rise of COVID cases among the Hispanic population, especially in the Central Valley. So this is in this case, it's a matter of public health that we need to have translators, right? If you were to take a point of view to the logical logical conclusion where, you know, English is the language government. You know, if you're not with it, you're not with it. You're not going to hear nothing. That doesn't fly, because if you're responsible for the well-being of everyone in your community, you're going to have to find ways to work with that community. So that's my 2 cents on the question of language. Does anyone want to close us out on this question? Andy has something. If it's not really related to the question, we can stop recording here. And then, Andy, do you want to ask offline about that with everybody, or?
Yeah, I can ask offline. It's just I just needed some help thinking through things.
Okay.
It's easy to
So
think aloud.
okay, yeah, let's. I think we will conclude this here. I'm gonna stop recording, and then we'll just hang out. Thanks.